What's going on, guys? It's Chad. Welcome back to the Easy Astro Images channel. 2025 is going out with a bang. We've got the S30 Pro that got dropped the other day. Got that pre-ordered. Gonna send that baby to STARFRONT. And we have been getting all of these awesome, like one-touch stretching type of tools, Verilux in Serial and in Pixinsight. And then yesterday, Pixinsight unveils the multi-adaptive stretch, and they did a heck of a good job, but it's still not your one-stop solution, but it is a very nice tool to have in the toolbox. So we are going to play with some photons. Big shout out to everybody, all the channel members. If you want to join us or buy me a coffee, there is links to that stuff down below. I appreciate each and every one of you. So I've been running on in Pixinsight a version of this suite here that has been in Serial, and the guy did a lot of work, ported things over. Evidently, there's been a lot of discussion about this stuff. Some people are against it, some people are for it. I just like to have cool stuff to play with, just like you. Pixinsight came out with this, the multi-adaptive stretch. It's got a real-time preview. It's got color and saturation boosts. It does a really good job. But again, it still suffers from all of the other issues that Verilux has, which is works great on RGB images, but on like dual narrowband, tri-band, all that kind of stuff, yeah, not so much. But, you know, it's all good. Like I said, it is another tool for us to play with. So I was playing around with it earlier, and, you know, you can actually do, depending upon what kind of image you have, you're just going to have to try it. You know, we started off with a dumbbell like this, and we ended up with a dumbbell like that. So not too shabby. We could show you exactly how this works. So this is just a regular image right out of the one-shot color camera. And I have went through to this image right here and done all of the usual treatments. So we've done linear fit. So you got to do some kind of calibration with your color. I've done an automatic background extraction. I've done blur exterminator and done noise reduction. And now it is in its linear state. So all you got to do is go to your process. I've got mine saved over here, and open it up. We'll reset the tool to defaults and just click on the real-time preview. And there is the image that you would get right now. And you can see right away that it's not doing much with our dual band type of data. We kind of got to bring that out and play with that ourselves. You could turn off the color saturation, and you could barely see that it dims. Sometimes you might need to refresh or, you know, freshen the preview, but it's just not doing a whole lot. So you could either leave that on or off. The real magic is going to be up in here. This is your target background. So like your statistical stretch kind of stuff. So if we put like a 0.2, you can see that it's going to just kind of overall increase everything. And then you also have an aggressiveness slider where if you pull over on that, it's going to just like give you that super contrasty look. And if you go down here, it's going to give you that really nice and dim look. I find somewhere around like 60 to 65 with most of my data works pretty good. And then you also have a dynamic range compression. So it will basically, you can adjust how much it's going to like target highlights and how much it's going to target like background type of stuff. So you can see there, it is working on the highlights and increasing the stars, where if I bring it up here, it's going to work a little bit more on the nebula and just kind of balance stuff. Now, one cool thing about this is this contrast recovery, and it works really good on stars is what I found that it works really good on. So if we zoom in here and make a preview on the stars, if we see right now, you know, the stars at a 7 are kind of like they've got like that bright core, and then they've got that kind of like fuzziness to them. If you go down to like a 4, the fuzziness goes away and the core gets bigger. Now, some people like just bright, corey stars. And some people like the more fuzzy type of stars that are kind of diffuse. And, you know, I'm kind of like on the fence about it. I've just been kind of like leaving my operation of scale here at like a 4 and just been kind of dealing with it. It seems to work all right with me. So we can just hit the button and apply that stretch, and it's going to just dump it right on there. And there we go. And then from here on, you could do some things like we could definitely see like there's some green color cast and everything else. What I like to do is just jump into like narrowband normalization. And this is where you can start playing with and getting your different color models. So I always like for HOO to get that like mode 2 going on and just give a little bit of an O2 boost to just kind of like bring out a little bit of that blue. And of course you can play with all this kind of stuff so you can see the difference. So we were able to stretch the data in a great way with that app. And then we were able to go and like play and colorize it and everything else after the fact. So that's pretty cool. The other thing that you can do is you could also do the same thing, and you can have a little bit more control over your stars. So you can stretch everything out with a starless version like I did here. And then you can do your star manipulation and stretch those as much as you want. And then you can go into something like image blend, and then you can add your stars back in, you know, how you want to right here. Like you can see, you know, whether you want to bring them in bright or if you want to like dim them down a little bit, you know, it's kind of up to you. So you've got multiple levels of control. Again, it's just like another tool in the toolbox, and it is a simplified tool because if you want your RGB stuff, it's going to work great. If you want to just play around with the whole thing that I just showed you, it's going to work just as fine. So let's go through an entire example here. So this is an image that is straight out and just cropped. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to run linear fit Astro image primer actually from Hidden Light Photography. And this is just called auto crop. And it's going to do linear fit to balance the channels, and we'll just go ahead and hit execute. You can do this. You could do SPCC, whatever you like to do. I like linear fit. I don't really need SPCC. I don't really want to deal with like plate solving and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of annoys me. So got that. And then we can give ourselves a little stretch there. You can see that we are balanced now. And then probably what I would do next is go ahead and run a correct only of Blur Exterminator to just kind of clean up all of the different misshapen stars and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, I would hit it again with another Blur Exterminator. And I'm going to go smaller than I typically do. And I always go a little bit down on the non-stellar just because we can work on that later. Because I do notice that it tends to overstretch the stars a little bit. So if I make my stars smaller to start with, then we don't have to worry about blowing them up as much inside of one of these scripts. So we're done with that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do, we'll just do a basic gradient correction, even though I've pretty much been using dynamic background extraction most of the time now. And when I do this, I like to do like a super stretch just to see. There's really no gradients in this at all, but we can just go ahead and do it anyway, just to show you guys what's going on. And it's going to do that. And it should darken up our dark nebula areas maybe a little bit more. Maybe not. We'll see what happens here when it runs through. All right, really not much change. So we'll go back to our regular stretch now, and then we'll run it through Noise Exterminator, and we could just run defaults here. I would always go to 3 iterations so that way it doesn't try to hammer everything all at once. All right, that's looking good. And now here's where you hit that fork in the road. Like we can do this 2 different ways. Let's go ahead and make a clone of this. And what we'll do with this clone is we'll just go ahead and pull the stars. So that way we can add our stars back and compare it to the image that the actual MAS script is going to give us. All right, good deal. Let's go ahead and get rid of that, and we'll just kind of put those right there. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that, and we will open up the script and open up the real-time preview and see what we're getting. And this is going to be a non-24-bit preview. So sometimes your images, especially if there is a lot of like background color and stuff like that, are going to look pretty bad. So we can go ahead and get rid of the contrast situation that's going on there. I know that like a 0.2 is pretty much where I want to be, and we'll turn our aggressiveness down a little bit. And again, for the scale separation, we'll turn that down to 5. So I'm going to go ahead and trust the logic that this is going to look pretty decent for us. So let's go ahead and apply that. And there we go. So, and I don't know why sometimes it looks worse than it is, but sometimes it just does. So we'll go ahead and go with that, and then we can work on this image here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and do a different way. So let's do this right here, and let's just use like SETI Astro's statistical stretch. You know, this is typically what people would use, and let's go ahead and check out the preview and see what it's going to look like. That looks fine. We'll go ahead and execute that. And you can see it's definitely a lot nicer and a lot smoother looking compared to this here. This looks really aggressive. I probably could have turned down like the dynamic contrast type of stuff, but this is a very complicated image. A lot of stuff going on inside of it. So what I want to do is, let's just go ahead and drop some SCNR on this because this stuff should be more brown. There we go. That looks a lot more pleasing. And we'll go into histogram, and we'll just kind of raise the black level up a little bit on this one. So that way it looks a little bit more appropriate. And then on our stars, we'll go ahead and stretch those. Once again, you just kind of go into like, you know, image blend and just add the two together. And, you know, you're going to get, in this case, it looks like we're going to get a way better image. So we want clone, and we want clone stars, and we want to use screen. And there we go. So that right there, quickly done versus that, you know, kind of is what it is. We could obviously have done a little bit better on this. No big deal. But that's pretty much how you would run through and do it. And again, like, it's just another tool in the toolbox. It's not a end all be all, but again, at least Pixinsight made something that is understandable. It's written in English instead of all this like crazy log D and scientific information that we don't care about. We just want pretty pictures, for God's sakes. So anyway, that's just kind of my like little hot take on it. I'll be using it. There's a lot of different ways to use it. Off label, you can actually keep iterating with it. That's kind of fun to do as well. Or you could do a statistical stretch, then do this, or you can do that, then a statistical stretch. Perfect palette picker, whatever you want to do. Another tool in the toolbox for you and I. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.